There's something wrong with Ben.
In the pool! Ben can't swim!
911, what's your emergency?
The film begins with a girl making a horrifying discovery. The chimpanzee she has raised since childhood appears to be infected with rabies. Once gentle and affectionate, the animal suddenly becomes violently unpredictable, turning into a deadly threat. During summer break, Lucy invites classmates to her father's Hawaiian mansion for a vacation. Her father, Adam, is a deaf-mute writer. He's usually busy with work, and he's about to travel for a book signing. Lucy also came home because she misses her sister, Ellen, very much. Lucy's mother was an animal linguist, but she sadly died in an accident 2 years ago, and the chimp, Ben, actually came from her lab. Later that day, Hannah sits quietly by the pool, lost in her thoughts, when she notices Ben behaving strangely. He stares intensely at the water, drool dripping from his mouth while his body trembles uncontrollably. For a moment, he seems to regain awareness and slowly reaches out his hand, almost as if asking for help. Adam cannot determine what caused the sudden aggression. Perhaps the arrival of unfamiliar guests has stressed the animal. Wanting to avoid unnecessary panic, he orders Ben returned to his enclosure. While inspecting the area, Adam discovers the mutilated body of a gibbon lying nearby. Ben points to his own arm. Clearly he was bitten by the gibbon and had to fight back. So to be safe, he decides to bag the body and have the keepers clean the cage and give Ben some antibiotics. This little incident doesn't ruin Lucy and her friend's party mood. Late that night, a keeper checks the cage. Ben is shaking and restless. The keeper prepares an injection of antibiotics, but in a blink, Ben is gone. Looks like he hid in a den to avoid the shot. The keeper picks up a toy, patiently trying to coax him out. Suddenly, a hand reaches out from the darkness, and then everything goes horribly wrong. Meanwhile, Kate wakes up thirsty and heads downstairs for water. The next moment, Ben no longer looks cute at all. Katie calls Lucy over in a panic. Lucy is puzzled. Ben should have been in his cage asleep by now. There's blood on the toy, and a bad feeling hits her. A scream comes from downstairs. They run down the stairs and find Ben wrestling with Mike. Lucy shouts at them to stop. Ben has never attacked anyone before, but he's clearly not right now. Mike ties a rope, planning to restrain him, but Ben senses it and gets crazier. Lucy bravely steps in, soothing him gently. Ben calms a little, but when the rope slips around his neck, his mood flips. Katie suggests calling the keeper. He should already be here. Hannah wants to call animal control and have Ben put down. That sparks a fierce argument with Lucy. During their fight, a sound comes from the cage. The keeper must be there already, so why isn't he answering? Lucy suddenly senses danger. By the time they fully grasp the danger, it's too late. Ben bites through the rope and lunges forward. Aaron, standing closest, is instantly attacked. Although the others manage to shove Ben away, he tears a large chunk of flesh from her. Panic explodes among the group. Hannah selfishly attempts to flee, but Ben blocks the only exit with terrifying speed. With nowhere left to run, everyone jumps into the pool. Surprisingly, Ben remains on the edge. Rabies causes hydrophobia. Infected Ben now fears water. If Ellen was bitten and doesn't get shots fast, rabies is a death sentence. The four scream for help, but the mansion sits on a cliff. Heaven and earth won't hear them. Ben moves along the pool edge toward them. Seeing the others with their backs to the cliff, Mike tries a risky move to push Ben off. Mike, strongest of the group, goes down quickly. Ben seems to grin madly. The bigger problem, at this rate, they'll exhaust themselves and drown. Lucy carefully climbs out. Ben stares at her. A flicker of reason makes him hesitate. Lucy grabs an air mattress and throws him into the pool. But then she spots a phone nearby. Her movement finally catches his attention, but he only watches without acting. The phone is within reach. Then suddenly it rings, instantly triggering Ben's fury. Fortunately, Kate climbs out on the opposite side and shouts loudly to divert his attention. Lucy snatches the phone and dives back into the pool just before Ben returns. However, when they attempt to call for help, they discover the screen is mostly shattered, with only a small section still functioning. Worse still, The call connects to classmates drinking at a bar. Completely drunk, they assume the desperate pleas are nothing more than a joke. Furious, Hannah grabs the phone and yells at them. But at that very moment, Ben climbs along the overhead wiring and violently rips a large patch of Anna's hair and scalp away. The already damaged phone falls into the water and dies completely. Ben grabs the tablet they use to communicate with humans. Adam is at his book signing when staff from the bio lab text him frantically. The Gibbon tested positive for rabies. Adam says rabies has never appeared in Hawaii, but to be safe, he calls Lucy. No answer. The four wake up groggy. Katie looks around, realizes Ben is gone. Lucy remembers another phone charging in the living room. Looking around, they realize Ben has vanished from the poolside. Recognizing a rare chance, they climb out and head toward the living room to retrieve a phone left charging there. Kate accompanies Lucy, both moving cautiously through the silent mansion, fully aware that Ben could be watching from anywhere. They slip inside and quickly locate the phone, but just as Lucy reaches for it, she accidentally steps on a remote control. A loud noise erupts overhead. Realizing the danger, they dive into a wardrobe to hide. Moments later, Ben charges downstairs and, after failing to locate them, smashes the blaring television in anger. Startled, the pair accidentally bump into a nearby box, producing another sound that draws Ben closer. He violently tears open the wardrobe door, scans briefly, but miraculously, does not search deeply before leaving. After it calms down, Lucy sneaks out and grabs the phone. Then they rush out of the living room, locking Ben inside. Thinking they've bought a breather, Ben quietly moves back into the room. The next moment, Lucy hears a blood-curdling scream. She rushes back. Ben picked up a rock and smashes it into Katie's head. Ben pins Lucy to the ground. Lucy tries to help, but only places herself in greater danger. Seeing this, Hannah climbs out, loops a broken rope around Ben from behind, and pulls with all her strength until he finally releases Lucy. Both women scramble back into the pool, narrowly escaping. Realizing Hannah still holds the rope, Lucy understands the plan. Drag Ben into the water and let the disease finish him. Yet once again, they underestimate his strength, and after a fierce struggle, everything returns to square one. Meanwhile, Adam still can't reach them. Lucy grows more desperate and decides to cut his trip short. But Lucy's classmates Brad and Drew arrive home earlier. They just left a party, unaware a vicious monster waits inside. The house is eerily quiet, no one in sight. They split up to look for the girls. Drew enters the living room. It's a wreck. Brad barges into Lucy's room and flops on the bed. Then he hears a strange noise and tenses up. Brad panics, pulls out his car keys to scare someone, not realizing Ben's not some clueless ape. The next second, Brad is pinned down and feels death close. Ben forces a finger into Brad's chattering mouth. Elsewhere, unaware, Drew goes out to the patio and sees the girls in the pool. Lucy shushes him, "Don't make a sound," but it's too late. Drew spots an oddly shaped bone on the ground and inspects it. Panicking, he grabs a shovel. Hannah climbs out and sneaks onto the patio. But Ben has already taken the shovel and is swinging it at Drew's head. Hannah rushes into the living room, snatches her phone and car keys, and bolts from the house. She jumps in a car, thinking she's safe. Turns out in her panic, Hannah got into the wrong car. She carefully opens the door and finds Ben watching her from nearby. Hannah jumps back into the car, locks it up, and grabs her phone to call the police, but she can't tell her location. At that moment, Ben pulls out a car key. Suddenly, Ben vanishes. Hannah cries hysterically to the police, begging them to locate her phone's signal, or she'll die. Suddenly, the trunk pops open on its own. By the time she understands what that means, it is already too late. Back inside, Lucy cautiously moves through the mansion, but accidentally steps on a shard of glass. Though she clamps a hand over her mouth, the noise alerts Ben. Adam has come home. Ben's focus shifts to him. Adam is deaf-mute. Lucy can't warn him verbally, and he doesn't sense the chaos at home. Unnoticed, Ben creeps up behind him. In a desperate moment, Lucy's life hangs by a thread, but Ben stops mid-act. Maybe a sliver of reason returns. He reaches out a hand like a guilty child. Then Ellen, summoning her last strength, shouts at Ben, but she's near death. Ben knocks Ellen down, his claws leaving deep wounds on her belly. At the same time, Adam enters Lucy's room and finally sees the horror. Lucy is pinned beneath Ben, who shoves a finger into her mouth, ready to bite again. Suddenly, a shrill whistle pierces the air. Ben stops. Then he switches targets and attacks Adam. Caught off guard, Adam is knocked down. Lucy grabs a shovel. Adam locks Ben from behind, and they struggle again. But Adam is frail. How can he match a beast? He soon gets overwhelmed. With her father in danger, Lucy screams in agony. Ben turns his attention, but then Ben is suddenly pierced through the heart and goes still. Just as the three survivors begin to celebrate their narrow escape, Ben staggers upright once more. Horrified, Adam shoves his family aside and grapples with the animal. Acting swiftly, he restrains Ben, and the struggle sends the chimp crashing through a wooden bridge below, finally ending his life.